Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. How's it hanging?
Everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's hanging
It's
everywhere.
everywhere. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
There's just.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird. It's so weird because I'm not producing. So like I'm like my screen's like totally different now.
Yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel more relaxed?
I don't know.
Or no? Maybe you feel a
It
little bit
feels
more
weird.
tense. Yeah, because it's so weird. Hopefully, you get the hang of not producing. Today, I'm
Yeah.
producing. So, if
Yeah,
there
that's
are
right.
any faultiness within our show, you know who to blame. Satan.
It's gonna be
So
great. Is it Satan?
is it Satan? Maybe. Is it maybe Satan? Yeah. I certainly didn't mess up. I'm perfect in whatever. So, and humble.
Yes.
And I've never told a lie.
Never once have you
Never.
ever.
Mm-mm.
Yep. Never in your life. That's awesome. Welcome, everyone. This is Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show that we do on Wednesdays. It's all about you guys and you in the chat, your topics, your thoughts, your stuff going on in your lives, lives, however you say plural of life. Yes,
You got it, man.
I did. We're gonna roll with it. So anyway, yeah. Um, we are not professional counselors, therapists, or anything like that. We just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can. If you have a topic that you'd like us to cover, you can go to our website, don'tworrywednesday.com, and click the submit a topic button. We'd be happy to do your topic. Yep, just go to that website, don'tworrywednesday.com, click it, fill out the form. If you want to be anonymous, you can leave your name right off of there. But if you want to be present for your topic and you're anonymous, just let us know who you are. But then in parentheses, either put your name in parentheses or put anonymous in parentheses or something so we know. And then we'd be happy to do that for you. So if you do have a topic, you should at Princess Yellow in the chat, and she would be happy to put you on the upcoming queue for us to do your topic. That way she knows that you're here, and she's really in charge.
Yeah.
She is.
We're both deathly afraid of her. That's how this program ends.
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. I thought that. Okay, I guess I thought that was the thing. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I thought we were both afraid. I guess it's just me. Whoops.
Not deathly afraid.
Oh, just a little bit afraid.
Because I don't fear death.
Oh, right. Well, that's not afraid at all then. That's
I fear
perfectly
princess more than death.
Yeah, well.
I'm just kidding. I love you, princess. You're amazing.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. I didn't put you on for that. It was a perfect look that she gave the camera. So.
She did. Yes, it was that ha ha.
Yeah, exactly. That look. Aha. Very funny.
Yep. So anyway, if you have a topic, feel free to go to our website, or you can reach out to us on Discord. Princess has the our names are whatever's in the chat there. I think. Yep, reach out Princess 7101, Static P4545, or Pleb 6992. And we would love to hear from you. So yeah. Other than that, I think that was all. Did I miss anything? It's a wild day. My brain is buttery today. I will apologize in advance. We had a very, very long night. It was an all-nighter. For those of you who have pulled all-nighters, I got to do one last night. It was great. Hospital-related stuff. It was super fun. Anyway, I couldn't miss doing Don't Worry Wednesday. We're just gonna see how it rolls. It's gonna be great.
Right.
So anyway, how are you guys doing in the chat? How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic. Doing doing great. Yeah, honestly. I've got nothing to complain about and lots to be thankful for. So I'm sure I could find things to complain about, but on my mind immediately there's nothing. So
Yeah,
It's
there's all
pretty good.
kinds of things to complain about, I'm sure.
Hmm.
You know, you
Yeah.
complain, man, the grass is too green.
Yeah. Sometimes the sun is too bright. I'll go with
Sometimes the
that.
sun is
Yeah, it
too
hurts.
bright,
Hurts
the
my
clouds
eyes.
are too white, the sky is too blue, and that water is too lukewarm.
Yeah, I wish it was a little warmer. I could agree with that complaint.
Yes, awesome. Well, welcome everybody in the chat. How are you doing tonight, Princess?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Thanks for answering. And what?
I don't know. I've never. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having that response to her response. I much appreciated it.
What? I feel bad now, man.
No. That's the exact type of response that Ryan would want to give himself, I feel
Yeah,
like. So
exactly.
you
That's
just, like,
why
Ah,
made his day.
it was quite
ah,
pleasant to hear it. So that's yeah.
yes. All right. Well, good, good. Welcome everybody. Welcome Hotsu, also known as Rin, Saule Vanavi, Ash, Fredneck. Ah, my goodness. Penny Lane, welcome.
Oh
And
wow.
Nyansai. Man, a bunch of you guys in the chat. Those are just the ones I see right now. So yeah, welcome. I know we have some topics from you guys. And so I think we should just get rolling right into the topics. What do you think?
I agree.
Is that a good idea?
Let's do it.
Good idea.
Hmm.
Good idea. Bad idea. That one's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to start with this one from Rin. It's called The Perfect Sandwich, or actually, it's just called Perfect Sandwich. And so, yeah, we're going to handle this topic. It's going to be great. So, as soon as you guys are ready with the topic up on the screen, so Princess can read it aloud,
We're good.
then that'd be great.
How do you make the perfect sandwich? I need to know. It's super important?
Mm,
Awesome.
From Rin.
mm.
Very short.
The perfect sandwich. Oh my gosh. There are so many ways to answer this question. Because first of all, you have to classify what a sandwich is. I've had this discussion
Mm.
with friends of mine, you know, what is a sandwich and, some of the requirements. Because to me, a burger is a type of sandwich.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would agree.
But I have friends that disagree. And they say, nope, a burger's a burger. That's not a sandwich. Because sandwich requires two pieces of bread. And sometimes it might require meat or cheese or some kind of condiment, or if there's peanut butter jelly, or does it have to be, if it's open faced, does it count as a sandwich? Meaning one piece of bread with the stuff all on the top, and it's open,
Hmm. Well, we
is that
just call
still a
that an
sandwich?
open faced sandwich.
Or do you need two pieces of bread to constitute a sandwich?
Yeah.
So really, I mean, I can tell you my perfect way to make multiple different kinds of sandwiches. But man, I think the best thing I can do is turn it over to the food master himself, and that would
Whoa.
be Ryan over here. I mean, you just look at him, you see he eats so much all the time. All the time. He never stops eating.
That's right. Oh my gosh. All
I
right,
have
well
never
said.
seen him not eat something.
That's right.
I'm surprised he's not eating right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm not eating that Kodo behind me or my chair. I'm always eating something.
I don't know, man. Or gnawing on it at least,
Yeah,
like your
right.
keyboard's got teeth marks in it back there. There's everything.
That's right. All right, well, I'll give it my best.
All right.
So, sandwich. Honestly, I like how Joe started off because it's true. How do you identify what a sandwich is? And it really goes any kind of way. But personally, if we're gonna stick to the basics, there's a couple of things that I would say you're gonna want to do. If you want, I can't give you what the best sandwich is because it's an opinionated response. But I can give you this. You're gonna make a sandwich and you want it to be really nice. Put it in a toaster oven or bake it.
Mhm.
Now, Princess knew I was gonna say this, and
Mhm.
Princess will probably agree with me that if you bake your sandwich, it becomes like 10 times better. You can put a little bit of mayo on there, and then anything you want, like any kind of cheese or meat. Just stack it however you like. Well, bake it. All of a sudden, your sandwich just goes up 10 levels. And here's a quick tip if you're gonna do that. Make sure you spray, if you can, spray your bread with some like olive oil or butter, because when you try to bake it, and if you don't do that, it will burn. It will burn because it doesn't have enough oils in it, and oils are what actually help to make those really nice brown spots. But
that's the oils, huh?
yeah, not always, but like if you're making toast, right, you're not gonna have that problem. But you're gonna want it in the toaster or the oven for a lot longer than you normally put toast in. But like if you're making a hamburger, if you just put pure beef down on the grill, right, and you can smash it right in there, whatever you want, onto that grill. If there's no fat in it, you're gonna get 0 brown spots. It'll either it'll cook, and then it'll go straight to burnt, and there's no in between. It's the oils that really make it happen. So that's why they have a high oil content on burgers, not only because it really helps that mouthfeel and all that kind of stuff, and it just tastes great to have those fatties in them, but also you can't get browns. You can't get the sugars to really brighten out the Maillard effect, or Maillard, 2 ways of saying it. But
Maillard effect.
Maillard? Okay. That's the French version. So anyways, yeah, so spray your sandwich down with some oils, then put it in the oven, let it bake. Melt that cheese. Get those onions on it, slightly caramelized, whatever. But that is the best sandwich in my point of view. If you want to go above and beyond, you can get into your spice drawer and start putting things on. Don't go too heavy. But I like to use a little bit of sweet marjoram, or if depending on what kind of cheeses I have, I might go, if I have like a really creamy cheese, like maybe like a goat cheese or something like that, I might go with rosemary. But really, a lot of it is the best sandwiches aren't the sandwiches that are the same every time. But when you can mix it up and you experience something that's flavorful and you're like, ooh, this is nice. This is different. This is nice. I would say those are usually the best sandwiches, the unexpected one. But also, one more tip: if you want a really good sandwich, don't eat for a week. It's true. Your sandwich is gonna taste so good.
Actually, if you just don't eat sandwiches for a week and then you eat a sandwich, your brain will actually have it taste better than if you have sandwiches a bunch.
That's
because
true.
of how your brain works.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. So that's what I got. There you have it. That's sandwich time with me. Joe, you got anything you want to say about this?
I like all kinds of sandwiches. You know what though? I've had lots of different kinds of sandwiches. I had a roommate one time. There were like 4 of us guys, and we were all sharing rent on a house, right?
I love this story.
You've heard this story. We had like no food in the house, everything, like we had like half a loaf of bread and there was nothing else in the fridge. We had like a can of green beans that nobody wanted to eat that was up in the cupboard, and we had, we had like nothing. And so all of a sudden we had this grilled sandwich maker thing, right? And my roommate was like, he all of a sudden made a sandwich and he brought it in the room, and we're all like watching him eat it. It's like, what did you make? There's nothing in the fridge. What did you, like, seriously? Like, this is ridiculous. He's like, he just sat there and he ate it, and he's like, shut up, it's good. And he kept eating his sandwich. Like, no, dude, what kind of sandwich is that? He's like, shut up, it's good. That was his only response. And we're like, dude, come on, you got to tell us. And he never told us that night, but he told us like a week later. It was grilled mayonnaise and ranch dressing between 2 pieces of bread. And he said it was really disgusting, but he was so hungry. And he was like, I just wanted to go down to McDonald's, but I was broke and blah, blah, blah. So it was hilarious. But so that's one kind of sandwich you can have. One of my favorite kind of sandwiches, this is going to gross most of you guys out, but peanut butter and Miracle Whip.
Oh, that's a great sandwich.
It is a great sandwich. A lot of people, when they first hear that, think that's gross. And I agree. That sounds like it
terrible.
would be gross. But it's actually very, very good. In fact, you can just skip the bread. Those of you who are on the Static P server, I put it in the sharing at one point. I had a spoonful of peanut butter, and I took some Miracle Whip and I just put it on top of the peanut butter, and I ate it right there on the spoon. It was just, who needs the bread? It was a great lunch right there, man.
Yeah, for those of you who don't think it's a
A
thing,
spoon
and
of
Joe's
peanut butter sounds
doing-
better. Just peanut butter.
For those of you
Yeah,
that think
but
Joe's
man.
being crazy, I grew up on peanut butter Miracle Whip or peanut butter mayonnaise sandwiches. So.
They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good. And yes, a spoonful of peanut butter is great all on its own. I could eat spoonfuls of peanut butter all day long. But man, you add a little bit of Miracle Whip on there. Whoa. Super even better. Great. And I also know the perfect way, according to my nephew, how to make a peanut butter jelly open-faced sandwich. Now, I don't know how a peanut butter jelly sandwich would do in a toaster oven. Have you ever tried that, Ryan? You said any sandwich, you should put it in a toaster oven. With peanut butter jelly.
You can absolutely put peanut butter jelly in a toaster oven. Let me tell you, if you're going to do that, I'm going to make a recommendation. If you're going to do that, put a little bit of cinnamon on it. Yeah, because then what you have is this hot cinnamon peanut butter mix with maybe a little bit dash of sugar too. So a dash of sugar, cinnamon, that kind of blend, and it's gonna be real good, real nice with that toast.
Yep. Man, we've got all kinds of great stuff in the chat here. Grill. Okay, we got people who hate peanut butter.
I loved that response, by the way, Ash. You're like, ew, I'm sorry, but ew. And the next thing I expected was to be like peanut butter and Miracle Whip, but instead you're just like, I hate peanut butter, and I'm like, that was it. That was
Like
your
the Miracle
problem?
Whip would be fine.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'll just take a spoonful of Miracle Whip, please.
Yep. Has anyone had a meat sandwich? I don't know what meat bread is, but I like the sound of it.
I've heard of like
Peanut
meatloaf.
butter,
That meatloaf?
banana.
Is that
Oh,
meatloaf?
maybe. That would be
Meatloaf
good.
with the bread?
I've had a
Yeah.
meatloaf sandwich. I used to have them as a kid. We put meatloaf and ketchup between two pieces of bread. It was weird, but it was really good, actually.
Oh, bread in the middle with meat and other stuff where the bread should be.
Mm.
Okay, I see. There's only
That would
one
be
bread
kind of
slice.
greasy, wouldn't it? If it's meat,
It would. It
red
might
meat.
be.
So you could,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you could just do like pepperoni with a little bit of like pizza sauce with a pepperoni, and then you have a pepperoni pizza sauce sandwich. Add some cheese. Got cheese. You don't have a pizza crust. Did you gluten free or something?
Right. That could work.
Hatsu or Rin said, you can never go wrong with a grilled cheese and ham sandwich with some ketchup to dip it in, right? Does anyone agree? Ryan, do you? And to me, that just sounds like all you've done is you didn't have like tomato soup on hand and you had a grilled
Sure.
cheese and you had meat, and that's like the main difference.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I would do it, but I think that tomato soup is definitely a better option between ketchup and the other thing. And I think ketchup can be a little too sweet sometimes, so I would rather do tomato paste and vinegar or something. But yeah, I could do that. That's it.
Now, if you want a sandwich that's really stretchy, like the cheese really stretches, the best cheese for that's going to be mozzarella. Because it's semi-soft cheese for one, so it's not as brittle as cheddar, and it's not as soft as brie. And because of the way that it particularly is made, like it's one of the reasons why it's string cheese, is because the casein proteins, the way that mozzarella is made, are really long, and so that's why you can stretch it. You do it right, you can actually stretch it as high as like 70 inches.
Whoa.
Dang.
If it's hot right out of the oven,
Wow.
you go. But apparently,
That's a long string of cheese.
They had with string cheese. They had gotten one piece of they had a giant piece of mozzarella. They stretched it, like more than 3,000 yards. So one piece of cheese that just kept going. But they had like a whole bunch of volunteers all holding this cheese with like wasp somewhere. Not
Incredible.
Waukesha, but one of the ones that's like that. So,
Wow.
but my personal favorite sandwich is bread plus provolone, Munster, or mozzarella, whatever you got. A pesto mayo sauce, which is just
Ooh.
pesto plus mayo mixed
Mhm.
together. Turkey, a little lettuce, sun-dried tomatoes. I've never tried it baked, but I also would like to someday.
Mm.
That does sound good, I'll
I
tell you that.
bet you it would taste good. But it
Mhm.
also tasted good as, like, a cold sandwich with a bag of chips. There was a place near college that I went to, and that's where I got mine from, and it was amazing.
Mm.
It was just 1 block away from the cafeteria. So if you missed lunch because the cafeteria closed, you just walked over there and got some dinner.
Nice.
Nice.
But anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. One
2
quick,
of them even.
2 of them, full on one, and then another one.
Mhm.
Just one quick tip. Also, on top of baking your sandwich, make sure you do it open face so that you can have the heater attack not just 2 sides of the bread, but actually like heat cheese and condiments or accessories inside. I couldn't think of the word. That's right, the accessories to the sandwich.
Mhm.
Because if you just put a bread on there and then you try to toast it, you're not gonna be able to like. It's not gonna be the same. But yeah,
Mhm.
do it open face.
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoy in the toaster oven or in the oven on the broil, so it's just the top,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
like
Hmm?
going down, are open faced tuna melts. So like you just,
Oh,
like
there you
tuna
go.
fish and then you put cheese on there and then
Mm.
you just put it in the broil in the oven on broil for a little while and you watch it just the cheese starts to melt and as soon as the cheese starts to brown a little bit on the corners, you know it's done. And that's
Mm.
when it's like, oh, it's perfect. So good.
That's awesome.
And then you just eat them open face, right? So there's lots of different options. And I tell you what, Rin, um, the perfect sandwich, holy cow. I don't know if that's ever been determined, but I would encourage you to try many, many things, many different things, and report back. Because who knows? You might find that egg salad wasabi soy sauce sandwich is really good.
Mm. Interesting.
Who knows?
Yeah.
With a dollop of ranch
Yeah.
or the Monte Cristo, which is a really weird thing. It's like a club sandwich. It doesn't make any sense. It's like a club sandwich, and then it's deep fried, and then they sprinkle powdered sugar on it, and then they give you raspberry dipping sauce. It makes no sense,
Yeah,
but
one's
it
a bit
tastes
weird,
good.
but it tastes good. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Vanavi, I like your addition of barbecued chips. Putting chips on a sandwich can be a nice little treat. It has that
Yes,
crunch.
specifically Better Made. I can back you on Better Made chips. That's a Michigan thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Jalapeno chips.
Oh yeah, jalapeno
Ooh.
chips.
I have to remember what
Ooh.
the thing there's one company that does kettle cooked chips that are pretty common around. I don't remember their brand, but they're really good.
Mm.
But I don't think they're better made.
That's fine.
That's all right. Wow, I didn't realize that Subway's bread is considered cake in the UK. Wow.
That's
I mean, I've
funny.
Yeah,
always
fat
enjoyed it.
thing.
That's weird.
Wow.
Of course, in the UK, they call all sorts of weird things. Like,
Vacations are
they don't know
called
the difference between a
holidays.
cookie and a biscuit. They don't know the difference between a
They
fry
don't
and a
say it, it's
chip.
just legally. Legally, it's
Yeah.
counted as cake because of the sugar content. That's what the government regulates it as.
Ah,
So they had to change their
Ah.
sugar content because they added too much sugar to it.
Wow.
Or they had to pay it as cake.
yeah.
That's so interesting because Subway's supposed to be like super healthy, but here they are like putting all kinds of sugar in their bread.
They may have been at one point.
They might advertise as healthy, but
And again, I will just disclaim this. This is a grain of princess's memory. So like if it's not true, not me.
fair.
Go look it up. Look at Mad Pat's video on the I'm pretty sure he has something about it with sandwiches. So
Yeah, I've heard a bit before.
Mm.
And by the way, I know that you guys know the difference between chips, fries, biscuits, and cookies. It's just funny that we all, America and the UK, have disagreements on what those terms mean.
Yeah. Yeah, because I love eating chips. And I'll be on a stream with or I'll be on a call with Jono, the friend of mine from Great Britain, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get some chips." And he's like, "Those are not chips. You are eating crisps, my friend."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "They're chips, man. It says it on the bag.
That's
Chips.
right.
Tortilla chips. This is what they are."
In UK, are they advertised, or did they, like, on the bag, do you think it says, like, tortilla crisps?
I don't know. I've never been there.
Rin, can you tell us what it says? Like on a bag of corn chips, does it say corn crisps? Please let us know. I am curious.
Yeah. Well, and French fries never really. I'm like, I always wonder why French fries are French fries. That's weird to me. But fries make sense. Crinkle cut fries are my favorite. Those are so good. But those would be called crinkle cut chips, probably.
Thanks, Rin. Thank you. Now Joe can have a retort.
It's tortilla chips. But that's okay. Call it whatever you want, man.
Fair enough.
Call it whatever you
want.
Yeah,
I mean, words are just words.
It's
We made them all
entertaining,
up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's entertaining to have fun, with language differences and stuff like that. Hey, it just adds to that flavor of life, I think,
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, Vanna. Yeah, cool. Do we have anything else we want to really talk about on this? Sounds like we covered it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, Ren, you are satisfied with our answers. And let us know what you think your favorite sandwich is, and if you have one. I guess I'm not the host. I'm not supposed to end it, but I just did, so I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm just kind of going with the flow, man.
All
like,
right,
hey,
cool.
You feel a sense of authority when you have that button pad in front of you and you're switching.
I do.
It's crazy. I know. I know how
that
is.
My authority is
Yeah,
being exercised right now.
I know you're in so much in charge. You're switching scenes probably.
Yeah,
and,
it's so good.
I can't even tell because there's such a long lag between me seeing it on YouTube.
I'm satisfied. I've definitely gone over my limit of scene changes.
Good. now it's finally catching up. I see what you did.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Way to go, Ryan. I'm so impressed. So anyway, thank you so much, Rin, for the topic. And yeah, hopefully, excuse me. Hopefully that was good and it can be helpful. And hey, like I said, the perfect sandwich, I don't know if it exists. Lately, I will add this. Lately, I've been putting horseradish on sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty doggone good.
I like it.
So, But anyway, thank you again. And yeah, feel free to submit any topics whenever you'd like. We'd love to have them. And for anyone, if you have a topic you'd like to submit to our show, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button. If you do have a topic and you are here and you'd like us to cover it, just at Princess Yellow in the chat and she will see that you're here and yeah, get it in line for us. So anyway, the next one we're going to go to comes from Saule, aka Soaking Pillow. I love that name. And this is called Loyalty and Friendships. And so I'm going to pull it up on my screen so I can read it. And then as soon as you guys get it up on the screen, you can feel free to read it aloud.
You're good. Oh, you're muted.
I was not ready yet, but I am ready now.
Oh, my apologies.
Gotcha.
Let me shut up for a while then. Let me just be patient.
Good. I was just putting the link in the chat because Joe had done it. All is well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Princess.
Princess went on a strong emotional and informative spiel during the first topic of August 17, 2022, Don't Worry Wednesday, and it made me reflect on some friendships and failed transitional relationships that I've been in. What stuck out to me first was the thought about becoming overly loyal. That's the way I am. Once I decide that I will try to be in a relationship with someone, then I immediately become as loyal to them as I can with the means available to me, while still trying to complete my other obligations, those being school/work. Now, I said I failed transitional relationships because at this point, the relationship is at a point where both parties have to decide whether or not to start dating. But for me, it has never gone to dating. I've been on both sides, the one pushing for the dating relationship, and the one saying no to it. The issue I will present is when I'm the one pushing for it. Pushing for is not the best way to put it, but you get the idea. Sometimes I'm fully committed to spending time with that person. I want to talk to them and I want to do things with them. Generally, have fun spending my time on them. But, and there is but, I feel like one thing that I have missed a lot of the time. I feel like one thing that I've missed a lot of the time. I often want to pay as much attention to that person as I can and do whatever I can to bring them happiness. But here's the but. But I feel like in all of that, I often miss them and what they want out of the relationship. So that ruins it. But I'm so committed to them that after a short time, I forget them. My full commitment is to them, and my relationship with them becomes a commitment to my relationship with them. How does the relationship make me happy? How does trying to help them enjoy life makes me enjoy life? So, after that long-winded and inefficient explanation, the meat of the topic. How does one keep their loyalty true? How does one maintain loyalty to the other and not become loyal to selfishness?
Mm.
From Saole. And I'm
That.
sorry for butchering it.
Oh,
No,
I
you
think
did
you did
great.
just great.
I didn't even notice, honestly.
Wow, Saule, this is a good topic. This is very pointed. And because it's very true that, in relationships, we do experience this where we love that other person, but we also love the way we feel around them as well. And so, like, there's this balance of, like, okay, who am I serving? Am I serving this person, or am I serving myself? Am I serving my desire to keep this relationship, or am I serving the other person? And there's this balancing act that it seems like it comes into play anytime relationship, even close friendships that are non-romantic can become this way. Family relationships can become this way. And certainly romantic relationships can definitely become this way. If you're talking romance, my general advice is stop it. Don't. But that's just me. Ryan's probably gonna have different advice on that. But y'all know where I'm at. So anyway, yeah. So how does one keep their loyalty true? How does one maintain loyalty to the other person and not become loyal to the selfishness? And I think you've taken a great first step here, Saule, and just recognized that there's a difference. Because we can get caught up in being loyal to ourselves and our idea of the relationship and go way down that road before we even notice that we're doing it. It happens. And hey, I'll tell you what. So there is a balancing act here, and I think that is a great first step to just recognize that that's a possibility. And then to keep yourself on guard. Maybe, I was talking with my therapist just this last Friday, and an exercise that I get to do is reminder cards. Now it's not for this specific issue, but for other stuff going on, I have to remind myself so I can keep myself on track and not allow myself to go down a path of being manipulated or being, used or whatever, right? Like, I have to have these little reminders, and maybe that's a reminder that you can just have in a list that say, just ask yourself the question: is this relationship, am I loving this person, or am I loving my relationship with them? What am I in love with here? And I think that's a great way to just get you to think about it and then direct your attention to that other person and how much you care for that other person and how much you want the best for that other person, how much you love them. So with that, I was just trying to buy Ryan some time because I know he's going to have some great stuff to say about this. So I'm going to get out of his way and let him take a stab at it. So Ryan, whenever you're ready, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for giving me some time. You know, it is I mean, I just want to second what Joe was saying real quick and really hit this hard. Way to go. Like, seriously, way to go. On recognizing that there is this emotion within you, and it is very common for us to like the emotion and forget the person. And so, and you end up doing all sorts of crazy things because of the emotion, not because of the person. And so, I just really love that you pointed that out, because that's such a common mistake that even I in my youth have made, and now definitely steer away from that as best I can. However, I will say you don't want to steer too far away from that also. You can take it to the extreme where you find yourself in a relationship that you've never really cared intimately about the person, and then you finally meet up, you know, and you recognize, yeah, this isn't what I was ever supposed to do. So I would say that that this emotion or this experience that you have is an important one. Don't overcast it as if it is evil, or don't throw it away as if it's meaningless. The experience is important, and it is there for a reason. So just to give a quick, interesting reason why, this is a rather perhaps religious response, but it isn't necessary that you understand religion in order to understand what I say. One of the reasons we get this emotional high is because it compels us towards someone for something, right? If it's good that your emotions get to you like this and cause you to really pursue the person. Why? Because the ultimate end of this is marriage, right? The ultimate end of this is a lifetime with this person. You better be getting to know this person. You better be like really digging into this person, and really servicing them. Because what do these emotions do? They cause us to act out of service for this other person. And that return we get is this emotional experience for ourselves and for them. And that's good. That's good. That's healthy. That's fine. There comes a time where that needs to end. And it's usually not by choice. It's usually just something that ends over time. And then after a little while, reflourishes in your relationship, and it kind of comes in waves. That is in a healthy relationship, right? And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. But if you're spending so much of your time and effort on a single person, then just like you've kind of mentioned, you end up forgetting the rest of your daily load. Your you know, everything that you're supposed to be doing. So, yeah, it's important to keep your priorities straight when you are meeting someone and you're experiencing this, so that you can act logically and emotionally. It is good. It is good for both ways, but you have to do both, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're going to be spending a lifetime with this person, then yeah, you're going to need this kind of start, because this kind of start really helps you. It really helps you a lot. So it's there for a reason. You know, we aren't every kind of animal. There are many animals out there who don't experience this because they're not intended to live a lifetime with that person. You know, there are very few, very, very, very few animals that actually are committed to a specific partner on the regular. There are occasions where animals go outside of their norm, and they do that. But most of the time, an animal in its normal state of being doesn't have this. They don't have this committed relationship. As human beings, we have this higher state, this higher calling, which we identify through our relationship that it's going to be hard. We get to moments where we recognize the feeling ends and the reality sets in, and you recognize that now you've put yourself in a position of service to this other person, but also, something much more, and that is that you get to receive as well, and there's joy in that service, and there's a life built together. It's a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful thing. But, and it's not all pain, but you recognize also that there is pain on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you can have many different relationships. You can see them in the world where they end because either A, it wasn't meant to be, B, it was toxic and it shouldn't be, or C, it should have been, but neither party, or at least one of them, wasn't strong enough to hold on, right? And so they weren't strong enough to hold on without the emotion, right? And so it is interesting that pretty much any relationship that's ever existed and lasted has had times where they are like, geez, I want to be away from this person. But then they get through it and they enter into this relationship that you can no longer describe with words, but the connection between them is far more than any other kind of relationship could ever give example to or really level with. It's something quite special. And the more this happens, the more times you fall into like despair and you empty out yourself and you've got nothing left, and yet you continue on and you rebuild the relationship. You rebuild the relationship into newer heights, newer levels of trust, and newer levels of ability to really connect with the other person on intimate levels and so on. It's really, really fascinating. It's really beautiful. But you look at that as an animal and you recognize what other animal would go through that. They'd just be like, nah, that's too much, I'm out. And they never get to experience the full beauty of a relationship and all that it has to offer, and the growth that can happen with it to its greatest heights. And so it's important. It's important that you have these feelings because they can actually help set an example of how you're supposed to act when things get rough. When things get rough, you look back at how you acted when things weren't rough. How did you treat that person when you had that emotional high?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't mean to say you ignore all their faults, because that often happens. When you get into a position where you lose, when you get to a position where you have an emotional high, you completely ignore all the faults of the other person. You cannot see them. Your mind won't even, it will be blind to it. It's interesting. And that's okay for that time, because you aren't ready to help build them yet. You aren't strong enough. Period. Your relationship bond is so shallow at that point. Don't think that you should be looking at their flaws. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be looking at the flaws of anybody. Like with intent to like really just like, like I'm gonna fix them, I'm gonna change them, I'm gonna make them a better person. No, you don't do that. You practice humility and you recognize that's a human being and you got flaws yourself. And focus on your own flaws, not the other person's. Now, when you enter a relationship and you get to that point where the emotional high isn't there and you recognize those flaws in them, you still practice humility. You still look at yourself and you work on yourself. But now that you can see their flaws, your love becomes more beautiful. Why? Well, of course, now you're able to go through these things, recognizing recognizing it for what it is. That it's an act of self and it's an act of love, despite their flaws. And then when you enter into a relationship of trust and a relationship where you look at each other and go, yeah, can you help me? Can you build me up? Sincerely, I want to get over this problem. Can you do this with me? And you enter that kind of relationship, that's beautiful. But you're not going to get there when you're on your emotional high. You're not going to sincerely get there because you can't even see their flaws to begin with. So it's important to have this time. And it's important to use it as an example of how to treat someone. And it's important to have that time where it's gone. And it's going to come in waves. In a healthy relationship, it comes in waves. It comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes. And every time it goes, recognize that that's a season where it's going to get hard. It's going to be a valley. But the momentum on the downcline, the incline, and what's the other one? Downcline? Sure, we're going to call it downcline. On the
Decline.
fall. Decline, thank you. The momentum you get from the fall, the decline, is going to, if you can get through that valley, is gonna move your relationship into a place you wouldn't have even thought it could be. You wouldn't have even understood that it could ever get there. And it's gonna be beautiful. And at that point, once you're on the top of the hill, what are you gonna feel? You're gonna feel that emotional high again. Might not be exactly the same shape and size and form as the other kinds you've had before. No, but you're going to appreciate it much. It's going to mean much more to you now. It's going to be more understood what you're experiencing. And that it's a beautiful time. And you're going to go through those waves. But every time that mountain gets higher, it gets more worth it. It becomes an incredible thing, which I can't even define. So I love that you are asking these questions. Part of your answer lies in just the knowing. Recognizing, as you already have, that this emotional high exists. And you need to make sure don't let it rot you away. Because you're an important being too. And if you lose yourself, what are you giving to the other person? Because ultimately in a relationship, what are you ultimately giving? You're giving yourself. And if you've lost yourself, if you can't stand up for yourself in hardships, if you can't be a strong person, then what's left over that you're giving to this other person? It's not much. It's a wimp. It's a piece of beaten up penny. You're like, hey, take this. And at that point, you're just like, please help me. Because look at me. I'm a wimpy, beat up, dirty penny on the floor. And it's like, now they're looking at you and they're like, I have to support this. I have to turn this penny into $1 million. Like now all of your weight is on them. You're not giving much to that relationship if you've let yourself go. So don't let yourself go. Work on yourself. It's the best thing you can ever do for another person is work on yourself. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds absurd. Like, what can I do to help my friend? Work on yourself. And I'm not kidding. Period. Across the board, work on yourself. Why? Because what you do when you spend time with them is going to be determined by who you are. And how much you can offer is going to be determined by what you have to offer. And that's your time. That might be your wealth. That could be your friendship, your ability to help solve issues. It can be so many things beyond just that. And you can't give that to someone if you don't have those things. That's why we've said before on the stream, selfishness is bad, but selflessness is just as bad. Selflessness is not a virtue. Charity is. Charity is a virtue. Charity is when you've spent time to make yourself into a good person. And then with that wealth of goodness, you can share it. You can give it to someone else, right? That doesn't happen unless you can work on you. So, yeah, make sure you're building you up in all of this. Keep that in your mind, and things should go better for you. Because then when you have something to offer someone, it's going to be good and not something that you don't believe in, not something that you look at and you go, wow, it could be so much better if I put my time elsewhere. You want to be proud of what you're giving to another person. So that's what I got to say. I hope that's helpful. I recognize that it's an interesting way that I took the topic and I went with it, but it's important. And it's important for all of us to hear and all of us to practice. All of us, period. Whether you are getting into a relationship or just a friendship or anything. Even friendships can have you having some weird emotions that blinds you from the person that you're with, that you're hanging out with. So, yeah, it's important. And it's something that I'm learning as well. So I hope that that's helpful. Yeah, I'm going to give it over to Joe. Joe, are you good?
Don't give it to me. You don't want to hear what I have to say now.
All right, Princess,
After
you got
that.
anything?
Holy cow, man, that was beautiful.
You're beautiful.
I'm going to wreck this topic. We should give it straight to Princess.
Princess, you want to chime in on this?
I mean,
I don't want to put you on the spot. I will talk. You know what? I will. I'm going to go through the chat a little bit.
But
Great.
Well, the only thing is that I would add is mostly just, I had been in church was this weekend or was the previous weekend? I don't remember time anymore, but it was a talk on humility, and it reminded me of, I think a lot of times we don't know what humility is. It's thinking of yourself less often, not thinking less of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also something important to go along with loyalty, is balanced with humility and being grounded in reality. It can be far too easy to have loyalty and to not ground it in reality, because you're like, "Oh, well, loyalty. I'm going to be loyal to my friend." That's such a good thing to do. All the time you probably hear like, be loyal to your friends, or, like, be good to others, trust them and other stuff like that. I don't know. But uh you know, I the thing is that loyalty, like many things, really shouldn't be blind. And it can be easy to blind yourself when you have emotions. It also can be easy to blind yourself when you take it as an obligation. There are times where you have obligations and there are times where you don't, and it's important to recognize that judgment call of, is this really an obligation or is this just something that I want to do?
There's a sense of pride sometimes.
Yeah, like, well, this is my friend. Of course I'm gonna stand up for them. Or, like, oh, I have to stand up for my friend, like, you know, or having that bias where it's like, oh, my friend is always gonna be right. They're never gonna lie to me. They're never gonna do anything wrong. If I see something and I get a whiff of the situation. It reminds me of one time I was in the lunch line. And there was a conflict. And, me, I'm the type of person that's like, okay, what's going on with the conflict? And I had a friend, or somebody I knew acquaintance wise that I trusted, and there is some other people who are like, "Hey, like, you're budging the line." The other person's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Hey, look, this is my friend. I'm pretty sure they're not lying. Like, just it's okay. Just let it be, or whatever." And I put my honor on the line to be like, basically like, on my honor, like, this person is gonna be truthful. And then I find out 5 minutes later, "No, I lied. I couldn't lie." And I was like, "What? You made me go on my honor to trust and loyalty in you, and you lied? And so I was, like, just being a jerk over here on your behalf?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those moments of, like, I know that what I did was with the intentions of doing good, but at the same time, it was like, one of those times of Should I really put my loyalty on the line there because I knew this person? No. I mean, what would have been better is having that, like, coming up with a compromise or whatever, but, like, I just had that blind loyalty, right? And I just put forth, you know, I'm vouching for this person out of loyalty, and that wasn't the right thing to have done, apparently. And there are times where it can be the right thing to do is to stick up with loyalty. There are times where it's like, "Hey, I've already committed to somebody, like, as a girlfriend or whatever, and you go out to some place, have fun, then there's" pardon me? Um,
Bless you.
somebody who, comes up and, like, tries to, flirt or whatever. It's like, "Hey, look, thank you. I'm very honored that you would say such flattering things, but I'm taken. I can't." You know, I have to be loyal to the person who I've said that I will be loyal to. So, you know, there are times where that's good rather than flirting and being on that line and then creating possible tension in a relationship if they learn about it or, you know, having that sort of thing if communication breaks down. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it, and I'm gonna throw it back over to Ryan.
Me?
Mhm.
It should go over to Joe. It should go over to Joe.
Oh,
I
we
want to
can
give
So
it
to
discuss
Joe.
Joe said he was gonna read the comments. I'm excited to hear what's
this.
going on in the chat. So
There are a few. I was gonna mention princesses. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking about yourself less. I
mhm.
love that because that is truly a way. Like if you're going to answer this question to yourself, Saule, and how do you keep your loyalty true? Maintaining loyalty to the other person and not to your idea of the relationship, not to make it selfish. The idea is to think about yourself less and to think about them more. Now, don't think about them so much that you're all obsessive. Sometimes when we're romantically in the gaga mode, we kind of get in that obsessive phase, right? And we're just like, oh man. And we have no self control, and all kinds of stuff. We just like our brain just goes there and we have all these happy, flowery feelings. And it's just incredible. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Mm,
Mm.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Even their boogers are wonderful.
Oh gosh. Oh my. True though. That's true. Their boogers are wonderful. Just kidding.
The way they reek after a 6-hour workout is
Oh
just
yes.
so cute.
Cute.
Mhm.
Ew. No.
Everything. Everything. We can get that way, right? And I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not really.
Ash's ... tells a little about you, Ash. So I would be careful. Oh, okay. Just Ash was like,
Right
yeah,
on.
I did think that they smelled really nice after they sweat. No.
Gorgeous.
The PO.
It's beautiful, beautiful BO. Easy has some great stuff in the chat. As always, Easy, you are like you're treading on some thin ice here.
Yeah,
my
you're
friend.
about.
You're gonna be a guest on this show.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're about 2 comments away from being a guest. So please keep on talking.
Yes. Loyalty is mutual. It is shared. It is a bond, a covenant, akin and equal to marriage. For it is an oath to follow. True loyalty that is. To be loyal to a cause, a banner, a faith, a leader. Be not blind. You will give and share without worry of give or take. There is no mine, yours, only ours, and what we can make greater together. We grow stronger. We make the whole greater. Time nor distance matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, if you're loyal, but they are not, there is no loyalty, only longing. And that one got me really, really strongly.
Dang, that was
Because
good.
personal experience for a long time. And, it's incredible. There's a lot of wisdom there. So Easy, I wanna say thank you for that. So one of the keys is to, those feelings are wonderful. Romantic feelings are wonderful and painful and everything in between, right? They're strong. There's something about it, right? It can like rip your heart out from time to time, or it can just make you feel so like high. It's amazing what this in love feeling can do. But when you start getting down toward relationship and being loyal to a relationship, I think what Ryan had to say is so perfect. And I would go back and listen to what he said again, because relationships really, you have that in love feeling. You have that, that strong desire, right? And it lasts for however long it lasts for. But you do go in and out of that throughout the course of a relationship. Especially, throughout the course of a marriage, like Ryan was saying, the end of that type of feeling is marriage. And here's the beautiful thing. It's two people that give themselves to each other in such a deep and profound way that new life springs forth out of it. It's an amazing thing. Because, honestly, marriage exists for families. Because that's how children come into the world. Children need moms and dads both, right? And this isn't going to get into this big, whole thing about, the birds and the bees and, the flowers and the trees and all that stuff, right? We're not going to go down all that. But that's where you're heading when you're going down this path of relationship, moving into romance. It's moving toward this path of greater and greater gifts of yourself, where you're giving yourself to this other person in such a profound way that new life that you're responsible for comes into existence, and you give even more to them. This is a life-giving process. And it's profound. And it gets complicated. And it's hard. And so I just want to let you know, as you're going down this path, as you're looking at these relationships, these potential relationships, we never, ever, ever keep this in the back of our mind. But I'm telling you that this is the end we're going down the path toward. Going down the path toward marriage, toward children, toward family, toward who knows, right? And it's beautiful. Ryan's brother Kyle and his wife Diana have lots of kids. They have a very strong marriage, very wonderful marriage. I get to go over there about twice a week and work on, because we're building a studio, a static P studio, and kind of remodeling their house in the process. It's really cool. So I get to spend time with them and with their kids, and I get to watch them be a very, very wonderfully functional married couple and parents to these children. And it's so beautiful to watch them and to see how they've talked through all these things that were going to be pertinent to how they were going to parent children, to how they were going to live their lives, all this stuff. I mean, it's amazing to see how functional they are. My brother and his wife, and they have 3 kids. They are also a very, very wonderfully close, loving, powerful family. They love their kids. They're on the same page with each other. Now, obviously, they argue about stuff. They have pet peeves. Everybody does. Everybody has stuff that goes on, but they don't stop loving each other because they choose to. They choose to continue loving. So here's the question. As you're going down this path, would you be willing to love this person if they stopped loving you back for a time? Would you be willing to try, to make effort? Because that's what eventually becomes required. People are not always on the same page. In fact, rarely are we on the same page. We try to be on the same page, but it's tough. And making that work requires a decision to love, actively love, not just be in love, not just feel like I'm in love, but to make the decision to love that person, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't like them, because they did whatever, even when you're mad at them. It gets crazy. But anyway, I can go so much further. I'm not going to. I'm turning it back to Ryan. Ryan, you speak way more beautifully on this, so take it away from me, please.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Daddy P. I'm a music songwriter and producer guy. Hi. And today we're gonna be talking about romance and love. Hi. So, I don't really have anything else to add, so I'm just buying time. Hi. So, back to you, Joe.
All right. Perfect. Sole, I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome. And I'm only a little bit mad at you that you brought up a romance topic.
Oh yeah. All the anger. No, honestly, it's really wonderful that you brought this up. It opens up the eyes of everybody, honestly, because there's so many ways that we could be better people in general, and recognizing our emotions when we just chase after our emotions for our own good and we aren't looking at the other person anymore. That we're not even being loyal necessarily to them, but to ourselves, and what we said we were going to do, to a point where it can be a fault. Yeah.
And we're not doing what's right at that point.
And we're not doing what's right at the point. Yeah, exactly. It's important. It's a very, very important topic. So I love that you brought it up, and I think it's really great. So thank you, Salve.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully some of that was helpful. Hopefully some of that was insightful and gave you some stuff to think about, gave you some stuff to chew on. And really, I want to just bring you back. I really want to kind of wrap this up with what Princess said in the chat, which was to not think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. And to be truly loyal will mean, hey, rather than thinking about how I'm feeling about this relationship and what I'm getting out of this relationship, how good am I at directing my intentions toward them and their well-being and their growth as a person? And I love also what Ryan said. One of the best things you can do for others is to get better yourself. That's true. Because you become a greater and greater gift to those around you, the better you are. And so don't be afraid of self-help books.
True.
Be afraid of some of them, because some of them are wonky.
Yeah. Definitely. Some of them are pretty wonky. That.
But yeah, but you know what? To improve yourself is great. You know, my therapist and I are working on, we've got I bought like $50 worth of workbooks on stuff that we're working on, that we're going through, different training modules and different stuff to improve. It's self-improvement so I can be strong enough to handle what's happening and what's going to be happening for the next close to decade. Because it's going to take some strength. But anyway, yeah, Saule, you're awesome. Blue citrus. Wonky is a pretty wonky word.
I love it.
You got it, man.
So true.
It is a wonky word. Another great word is cattywampus.
Cattywampus.
Yep. It's all cattywampus over there.
Man,
oh
man. Over there.
Ryan had this topic and he had it great, and then princess made it better, and then Joe got it, and I got all cattywampus.
That's not even accurate, but that's it's like a decent use of it. Like it's an example of the word that's not true, but sure.
Yep. I'll debate you later. Anyway, we will move on to the next topic. Let's see, what do we have here? I'm going to reload the tab.
All right.
It's going to be great. So, okay. So, looks like our next topic is going to come from Fredneck. Fredneck, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. Dork is a word I like too. Are you saying I'm a dork? I fully admit to that. I will own that.
Fully embrace dorkness or dorkship.
Fully,
whatever
dorkship.
I fully embrace dorkship.
Dorkromancy.
Yes, I fully embrace dorkomancy, where yes.
Yep. I like the word confuzzle too. That's a good word. Confuzzle, dork. There's so many great words. All right, but we have a topic here from Fredneck. It's called "How to Suggest Without Offense." Yeah, so I'm gonna bring it up on my Ryan. If you want to put it up on the screen, so
it's on the screen. I went to the wrong one first. I went to the.
Oh, you did.
All right. I'll see you later, guys. Screen.
Oh.
Whoops.
Whoops. Hey, that's all right.
Oh, we're good now.
The show's over.
Yep. Bye. Sorry, guys. All right, it's on the screen.
Nice.
So just go.
Oh yeah. You're set.
I do a lot of unnecessary work. My dad will tell me and my siblings to do something, and we do it like he tells us to. But it doesn't usually work out the way he wants it to, and we end up having to do more work. I know he doesn't make us do more work on purpose, but it gets very annoying, and then I get mad. I have ideas in my head on how to do the task better, but I don't know how to tell my dad that there is a better way to do the task without making it sound like he's wrong or how to do his job better. How should I go about suggesting things to him? From Frednick.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my, oh my.
We both had that response, yeah.
Me, oh my, oh me, oh my. Right?
My ha. My ha.
Fredneck. Wow. We're digging into some stuff. This is cool. So this is a great topic. You know what? Honestly, one of the things I learned as I spent about 7 or 8 years of my life as a band instrument repair technician. So I repaired trumpets, trombones, clarinets, flutes, so all that stuff. Anything that was a band instrument, I repaired it. And one of the things I learned at the very beginning of my apprenticeship is that there are about 1 million different ways to do a job. And and my instructor said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to show you how I do it. And feel free to watch the other techs in the shop to see how they do it. And take whatever skills you can and make your own way of doing it. Because there's going to be a way that fits for you. There's going to be a way that you do this stuff best. And it's not necessarily going to be my way. And it's not necessarily going to be that person's way or that person's way. It might be a combination. And it might be something that you come up with. People, the interesting thing about that profession is people invent new tools all the time. I made a ton of my own tools out of broken drumsticks. Like I would just take them and cut them and sand them and, like whatever, just like shape them into the shape I needed just to get into this perfect spot just right and go and pop it out, whatever.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and so I made my own tools to do things the way I specifically would do them. And so here's the thing, but here in your situation, Fredneck, you're dealing with your father. And in my case, with my father, I will say that I can relate very much to this in that there's a way that he liked it done. And I spent my entire childhood falling short of that way he wanted it done. And he would make sure that he told me how I should be doing it better. And so that can be a way some dads are. And so I'm guarded with myself and my kids that I want to celebrate the way they do things and maybe offer pointers or insights or whatever, but then also congratulate them on how they are doing things. You know, there's one of the things that I see that I could follow in those footsteps very easily, and I don't want to do that. So, but how do you bring it up? I don't know. It's going to depend a little bit on your age, your relationship with your dad, and you know what kind of personality you are, what kind of personality he is, and how willing are you to have a fight? Because sometimes that's what it might devolve into. So, anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he's got to say. So, Ryan,
I'll give it
it's
my
all
best.
yours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't grow up with a. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll just say it like this. I didn't grow up with a father with this issue. I didn't grow up with a father necessarily, entirely. In the first place, I kind of did. I did spend some time with my father, and this was the case later on in life. And when he's a person who gets really aggressive, and throws things, you kind of just let it be. That's the way I went through it myself. So it wasn't very good, not very healthy for me or for him. But you know, he did get better over time, and he started to listen, and that's good. That's a personal thing that he had to work on. And one way or another, he did improve over time. And here's the thing, though. I grew up with this, but it wasn't my dad. It was my brother. Constantly. We would be playing a video game, and he'd be like trying to take the controller from me because he wants to do it because the way I'm doing it isn't his way, and I'm doing it wrong. Therefore, I'm doing it wrong, right? And just like, yeah. And I remember actually being physically attacked several times. Yeah, he's a better person now too.
But did you know? Yeah, I was gonna say, did you notice yesterday when we were doing all that concrete work how much different he is than that?
Yeah, right. Yesterday he was that yesterday? Was that 2 days?
Yeah,
That was yesterday.
Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday, completely different. He had me do a task, and I asked, "Hey, could you mind if I do it this way?" Like, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And then I did it, and then I told him, you know, I saved time, and I was like, sorry for, I actually just said, sorry for, if you didn't want me to do it that way or whatever. And he's like, dude, no, like, that was a great idea. Like, I thought that was cool. That was smart. And I was like, cool. That's awesome to be told that by my brother, you know? And then, you know, he was up for changing the way that we were dealing with a bunch of cement. And he was also helpful in leading the way on that too. So, it was great, you know, but growing up with that, in the opposite way, you know, growing up with someone who's constantly trying to tell you you're doing it the wrong way, and if you don't do it their way, they get mad at you. Here's a couple of things that really help it out. I don't know how you want to do it, but there's approaches that really help. First thing you have to do, and I've talked about this a little bit on stream before, in many different ways, many different circumstances, but here's some things that are really important. If you don't want them to feel undermined, as in, a lot of times your dad might look at you and if you're trying to say, hey, I want to do it this way, or this way is going to be better, immediately their pride is going to be hurt because they're the one that's supposed to know how to do everything efficiently. And if you tell them that you have a way that's better, it's attack. They take it emotionally, which is weird because generally these people tend to be not very emotional people. But they do get emotional, and it's usually on something like this. So what you do is, the first thing you do is you sidestep the worry of the emotion. Here's what you do. You give them respect. You find ways to make them feel absolutely respected. Because if you make them feel like they're respected, then what's going to happen in turn is they're going to respect you. So, if you respect them and their ideas, they'll respect you and yours. It tends to be that way. So, what you do, plan of attack, is you look at the things they're doing right, or their ideas, the parts of the ideas that are right, and you say, I just wanted to say, like, this is a smart way of doing things. I like, this idea right here. I'm wondering, and maybe you can, one thing to do is duke it out with them, but not like let them think of the solution. So you say, I'm wondering if they're, like, what you got right now is really smart. I think that this is a good way to do it. I just feel like there are certain things I'm running into, like this. What do you think we should do about this? And then you let them problem solve to be on your page. It sounds a little bit weird, and you might expect them to just go, no, just do it like I said. I've thought about it. It's right. If that's the response you get, then you know that that's not the route you can take. But this is a good response to try at first, okay? Is to say, hey, this stuff is right. Here are some things I'm running into. I'm wondering if I can bounce some ideas off of you, if we can figure out together how to maybe attack this to get it done a better way. Does that make sense? Fredneck, if you can confirm that makes sense, that'd be awesome. But to me, that was really helpful to be able to address my brother in those terms. Because what it really did is it wasn't a matter of my idea being wrong or their idea being wrong. It became something that they got to do that tests their mind, and they like that. Right? What you spin it, you spin it in such a way that now they're being questioned and they're being the one to manipulate their own process for improvement. And that excites them. That gets them going. That makes them go, oh, this is interesting. Hold on now. And it really entices them into problem solving. And now, after you've met that condition, after you've met the condition of, hey, let's work on how we might be able to do this better, then you give it a few seconds, you let them think about it, and then you say, like, maybe, for example, maybe we could do something like this. What do you think of that? Like, it would have these drawbacks and these benefits. What are your, and they might be able to take that in and go, yeah. Honestly, that might be a good answer to it. Or they might go, I'm not sure yet. Let's think about it for a little bit. I don't like the flaws right here. And then you'll be working on a process together. Now it's bonding time. Now you guys are bonding, right? And that bonding time where you're both working on something together, even if you don't get your way now, even if the end result is you have to work and do it the stupid way, what you've done is you've demanded respect. Because now you've had a bond on something that they find, that something that really clicks in their head. A type of interaction that they are uplifted by. They feel respected for you coming to them asking for their problem solving skills. And then you help them with those problem solving skills. So now you're on level with them. And you're kind of debating back and forth. And you come to a conclusion, even if it's the same conclusion you started with. Now you have a little bit more respect from them. And the more you do that, the more they're going to start seeing you as someone maybe a little bit like them. Maybe you think through processes too. Maybe sometimes you come up with good ideas. That isn't inherent. That's not inherent to these people. It has to be shown them, right? And you can't just go in full dive and say, hey, look, you've got these issues. You aren't respecting people. You think that you're smart and you're the only smart one. Like, people were doing that to my brother his whole life. Nothing good came out of that. Because it didn't pave the way. It didn't show him how to change. It just told him he was wrong, and he would contemplate based on the information that you gave him. Am I wrong? And then he goes, no, I have no data to show that I'm the one that's wrong here. You guys are just stupid. You guys think you're smarter than me. That's where it is, but you're not. I'm smart. If you think I'm stupid, clearly you haven't thought it through. Right? So attacking the person, attacking the problem in this case, doesn't solve anything. You have to lead them on that adventure. I've talked before a lot of times that if you really want to help someone move forward in life, especially someone that you really care about, but they're in a really bad spot in life, one of the best things you can do is go on the adventure to improvement together with them. That it's a joint effort. Not just to improve them, but to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are more willing to get on into a train of improving you than they are themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are prideful and not aware. People are not aware of themselves and their own problems. And they just look at their problems and they go, I'm depressed. And instead of going, really digging into it, sometimes they just say, well, it's because I don't deserve to be happy. Because I'm not any good. If you really knew who I was, you'd recognize I'm not any good. And that's dumb. But it's okay. It's okay for them to be in that spot. Rather, it's not okay for them to be in that spot. It's okay that they have been in that spot. It's not okay for them to stay there. Right? And so you gotta join them in their adventure. But you lead your own adventure because they're not gonna care about themselves. And it's the same thing for this. When you're dealing with someone who's prideful, not that depressed people are prideful. Don't get that illusion. But if you're dealing with someone who has pride, an issue of pride, what you need to do. Okay, hold on, correction. Many times, people who are depressed are prideful. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Joe will back me up on that.
I will.
Yeah. But regardless, if you want to improve someone, especially in the order of pride, you give them the illusion they're helping you, and you need them. Then you go on that adventure, go through that conversation, and they come out of it someone they didn't expect to be, knowing something about themselves that they didn't expect to learn. And they might not even notice it at first. It'll be subtle. They might not recognize what just happened, but something in them will open up. And then that movement, after a couple of times of doing it, it's not going to happen on the first time that everything's changed. But after a couple of times of doing it, and the continuation for months, sometimes even years, things will start to click into place. And you'll have someone who's no longer inaccessible in this category. You'll have someone who's open in this category. They might have to go through pitfalls before they truly open up. But the truth is, a lot of times in these kinds of things, they don't know they're prideful where they're prideful. They just are. And maybe you can see it, but you can't tell them. Because it's not going to make any sense for them. Mm-hmm. It literally just won't. It's true for someone who's depressed, and true for someone who is just having an issue with believing other people are smart, or that they can come up with good ideas, or that their idea isn't the best, or any other sort of issue. You can tell them what's wrong, but they're not going to understand it. They're not going to fully grasp it, and they're not going to be able to change it even if they did. Because, like anything, change is an adventure. A lot of times, change is something you do over time. And in ways you don't even recognize you're doing them. In ways that someone's giving you something you don't even recognize what they're giving you. And a lot of times that comes from God. Sometimes that comes with people. Many times. So, this is something beautiful that you can do with your dad. And I encourage you to do it. This is one way. This is one way that I find is helpful. Now, do I take credit for changing my brother's views in the way that he can approach people now and listen to what they have to say? Of course not. Of course not. But I do recognize the times that we've done that and that it's made an impact and that it's been a part of his journey, been a part of the impact to becoming able to listen to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Just a part of the journey. But I encourage you, Frednick, to try to do the same. Also, just a quick shout out to Kendra. I was thinking about you the other day, and I don't know why, but I prayed for you, and I hope you're doing awesome. I miss you. Anyways, I'm gonna give it over, Joe, and hopefully, he's got a lot of things on this because he's got a really thinking mind, but he's always been really generous and humble when it comes to listening to other people's ideas. Always, at least ever since I know him. So I'm looking forward to see what he's got to say on this issue. But there you go.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Ryan. I do try to, give proper due and respect to other people's ideas, and also the, the ability to have my ideas shot down. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll come up with an idea. Hey, prove it wrong. Fine. Let's find a better way. Here's what I'm thinking would be cool to do. Do you think that would be cool to do? And, there was a whole span of BSS staff meetings where I would have an idea or 2 or 15 or something like that, and and Kyle, Ryan's brother, would be like, "Nope, because this," or Ryan would be like, "Nope, because this," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, Joe's so amazing. He could just do that. I was just so impressed with him always.
Well, I appreciate that. It's because the key is the success of the whole, right? The key is how like not my idea being the king. It's that the success of the company, that's the goal. And so it's like that's why we have everybody with different minds, coming in, looking at things from different angles, and that's maybe something you're dealing with your dad, right? Now, one of the things is in a father-son relationship, a dad might have a habit and a tendency to see himself as, hey, you're his child. He's responsible for bringing you up. He's responsible for, helping you understand the right way to do things. And this is the right way to do it in his mind. This is the way it's always been. And, it's his responsibility to pass this information on to you and to help you. And that's what he desires. I want you to understand that this desire is from your father, more than likely. Now, there are people out there who are just like what Ryan was talking about. They're prideful. A lot of us are in many different ways. And sometimes it's sneaky how pride can sneak into our lives. But sometimes people are just prideful and they're like, this is the way I do it. It's the best way to do it. And this is what I call it. And I don't care what it says on the package. This is what I name it, and I don't care what the rest of the world says it is. This is what I say it is. And you have to abide by my rule because you're in front of my face right now. And that's kind of how some people are. Right. And I've dealt with a few handfuls of people that are like that. It's very interesting. Because it's like, you wonder why you have so much trouble communicating. Why is everybody so stupid?
Yeah, that's
it's interesting. Anyway, more than likely, your dad sees you as someone he cares about deeply, who he loves, who he wants to succeed in life, who he wants to bring up in a way that has these skills and and understands how to do these things correctly. And that's important. It's important for him to see you grow in these areas because he loves you. But he's flawed because he's a human, just like me as a father. I try so hard, and I still fail from time to time, to make sure that I listen to my kids' ideas and understand that they may have an idea that I didn't think about that might help this way. Do this certain thing, whatever it is. They're growing. My kids are 13 and 10. They can do a lot of thinking on their own. 14 and 10. Oh my gosh. Sorry, dude. If you're listening to this. But I fail at that. I can get on my high horse just like anybody. And I can say, hey, you should do it this way. Look at this way. Blah, blah, blah. Look at that. Or if something happens that's wrong, I can be like, see, that's why you shouldn't do that. And that's one of the least helpful things to say, usually. I can remember getting into a big financial mess, and I can remember, I asked somebody that I respected for financial advice, and they were like, that's why you don't do that. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't help me at all. I did it. Okay. Now what? Well, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Okay, still not helpful. I need to know how to get out. Well, I can't tell you that. We just never got to that point. Oh, well, then, okay. I will not ask you again about this issue. All I can tell you is don't do that. And I'm like, fine.
Fine. What else should I not do?
I broke your rule already, right? Yeah. But okay. So I love what Ryan was saying. A way to get involved with your dad and learn something together. What would it be to make a suggestion in the form of a question? And say, Dad, what do you think would happen if we did this? And just let him respond. If he comes up with a way of doing things and you think, oh, I've got this great idea of how to do this, you could just say, I'm wondering, I'm watching you do this. What do you think would happen if we did it this way? And watch his brain bend. It can be kind of fun, right? Because it'd be like, he might resist it. Be like, oh, that's not. And then, actually, it kind of makes sense, but I don't want to admit that it makes sense because I'm supposed to be the smart one. You could go through all these different things and just watch his response. And then, don't be pushy, because here's the thing. It won't be long, and you'll be figuring a lot of stuff out on your own anyway. I know when we're kids and we're growing up, or maybe we're teenagers or whatever, it seems like it's taking forever, but it's not going to be long. And you might be on your own. And you'll be having to figure stuff out on your own. And I remember when I moved out, I moved 3 hours away from my parents, and something would happen and I'd be calling my dad, And you know what? My dad got a lot smarter really quick. So I'm like, Dad, how did you do this again? How'd you do that again? Da 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 da. My brother, who I never, ever, ever thought, my dad is just this incredible, incredible gardener. If I could take his knowledge in gardening, vegetables, and I could interview him, make a book, and I could sell it, and it would probably do well because he's so good. He's so good. He would never want to write the book, right? He would never want to compile this information, but he would talk about it and he would explain it, and he would explain it in tremendous, tremendous detail, because he's a very detailed person. He's a very brilliant person. He's genius, right? And it's just incredible. And that's one of the things that is so hard, because anytime I would have an idea, I would recognize this brilliance and this genius, and I'd be like, who am I to talk, right? This guy's a genius. But to watch him garden is incredible. And me and my brother hated working in the garden when we were kids, because he had such a great way of doing things, and he would send us out to go weed the garden or to go do something. We weren't allowed to touch a hoe, like the garden hoe, for years because we would have to pull the weeds by hand because we might, like we wouldn't have the right control with that tool. We might do it incorrectly, right? And so we'd be down there on our knees, like pulling weeds on. Frustrating. My brother one time faked heat stroke. It's hilarious.
Nice. Oh my gosh.
But the funny thing is now he grows a garden on his property. It's like, man, we used to hate that. Like, now you're doing it. He's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Look at all these green beans I got. And my dad goes up there. He's like, I never had green beans that look that good. Man, how'd you do that? Get all those green beans. He's like, well, see, we don't have as many rabbits up here because the bears eat them. So,
So get some bears.
So get some bears.
Put some bears and plant them in your garden.
Yep. But it's pretty interesting. So as you get older, one of the things that you'll see happen is you'll start to value your dad's opinion more. You'll start to value the input he has more. You'll start to figure out things on your own. One of the things that as I was working, if I would work on a project with my dad on a car or something, he's very meticulous, he's very detailed, and he's very smart, right? But he takes forever to act sometimes. And so there were lots of times when like he'd be looking through the manual, looking through the book, like, okay, we're taking this step, we're taking this step, we're taking this step. I just go grab a tool and start taking stuff apart. Because okay, you're saying we have to do this first, and then this, and then this. Okay, I'm going to start just taking it apart. Go ahead and read, and then, we'll get there. And, so we got to that point where we made a good team like that, where I would be more apt to take action while he would then, read and say, okay, this is what we have to do next. And I'm like, okay, grab another wrench and do whatever. But the interesting thing is you can then dance. When you learn your father's personality, when you learn this stuff, and it's going to take some time, like Ryan was talking about, it's going to take some time to get through here, to get through some of this, and to get to this point. But eventually, what can happen is so cool because your personality and your dad's personality can coalesce and work together and make that project more fun. You can do a better job. You can come up collectively with ideas that will actually make the result better or make it easier. But it just might take a little bit of time. And so I would go back and listen to what Ryan had to say because a lot of his step-by-step process to get through to get to that point was absolutely fantastic. Because it's a way to kind of guide a person who's in authority over you into a position where now you're working together. You still respect them and their opinion. Don't lose the respect for them and their opinion. Don't come across and say, well, that's a bad way to do it. I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way. No, maintain the respect you have. And then you can walk down this path together. And it's beautiful what can take place. Ryan talked about it. So it's great. So anyway, Redneck, hopefully that made some sense. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan or Princess. Do either one of you have anything you'd like to say?
Princess?
Okay. Princess is
Yes, I
nodding.
do. I'm on a very different side of this coin. See, your dad doesn't have always the greatest ways of going about something, and then, you have that side. I have a dad who I don't know if I've ever can think of a moment where he hasn't been right about something that
Mm.
he's had. So he's very smart and wonderful and lovely. And while he has the opportunity to oftentimes tell you, I told you so, he doesn't, thankfully. Because if he did, that would go very poorly for the other person who might
Mm,
not have always the brilliantest of ideas and just has a way, thinks of it, tries it out.
mm,
Sees a problem. Oh, I know how to solve this. We'll do this, this, this. Then goes through it as like, oh, let's didn't see that or that. Well, we gotta go back through it and then do it again. Then we'll get it right, probably. Or maybe run into another pitfall and then have to backtrack again. But it gets there. I get there. I get there. But not always with the best idea of doing it um, the first time. And I have a lovely sister and a lovely father who are very good at having the right way the first time.
mm, mhm.
And it can be very difficult, you know. So like I think this is a joke. Just give him the line. I was wondering when you were gonna realize you could do it. We could do it that way, and he'll never worry about having to give up the "I'm always smarter" act. Yeah, that's a real fast track to your ideas getting shut down the instant you open your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't say that because I want to say that's true. I say that because that's my immediate gut reaction. Now, I'm not necessarily the same as them, but as an emotional person, and if it's based on emotion, that's where that goes. And a
Yeah.
lot of that
Say that
is,
again.
again, disrespect. Um, you know, I definitely agree with a lot of the things they said. I find it very helpful when it's teamwork oriented. We're solving something together. When it's a suggestion, or even if you point out some of my ideas that are part of it, or you know, maybe even just make it my idea if I'm really being sensitive. you know, I'll usually recognize it's not at that point, but having that and having the ability to be like, raising somebody else up rather than it being brought down is going to go a lot better for listening and being open to it. Because again, there's definitely a point of pride, but there's also a point of like, you know, w- learning and having your own smarts. Like, I know that I'm not necessarily always the smartest, but I have smarts and I have that. And if that's not being recognized, it makes it really hard to want to do what you want me to do. you know? Feel like, part of it is it becomes almost a point of like you're shaming me or I feel ashamed. Like, oh, I should have known better than that.
Mhm,
And I feel stupid or I feel like I'm inadequate. Well, why don't you just do it then? If you're so
mm,
smart, just do it yourself.
mhm,
Like if you're so smart, like don't help me, And it shuts things down rather than opens things up,
Mhm.
mhm,
you know. And I think again one of the best ways to do it is look at their thought process and one, start off with, "Oh yeah, I really like this part of it," or the steps that you see. Like, the things that you see that are good about their thought process, point those out and give them encouragement. Like, "Oh, yeah, dad, that's totally right. Yeah, I do definitely we want to do the drawers separate from the rest of the dresser. But I think it might be easier if we actually flip it upside down because I kind of worry about this problem, where we're gonna have to, like, move it and it's gonna be heavier. What do you think?" You know? Or do you think there's a better way where you throw it back at them? you know, Probably with a question, if being that pointed is too much, just be like, I kind of worry that once we've screwed this in and we kind of have it on its side, we might struggle with it. What do you think is a good way to deal with that? Do you think we'll just be okay, or do you think maybe there's a better way to do it? You know, you've got the expertise. Throw that in their corner. Whether or not you feel like they have expertise, they have some amount of knowledge or experience and it makes them feel, I guess, respected or honored, or at least better. If it's like, "Oh, you're right, I didn't think of that problem." Because, we're humans, we're natural. Some of us don't always think of the problems that show up,
mhm,
or that
Mhm.
there'll be a problem. And then you're like, so rather than them having to be in the middle of it, become frustrated, and then have to fix it, if you see it coming as an obstacle, you can be like, "Hey, before we get started, I just had a question about this." You know, that tends to go better, I think.
mm.
and I feel like I'm outing myself. that I, it's hard not to feel slightly embarrassed to just mention it because like some of it is it's allowing other people's compliments of like, oh, you're smart, you're great, to get to you a little bit. It's like,
Mm.
oh yeah, I am. Because I am smart, but I'm also not that smart in certain areas.
You're also great.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
But anyways, when whether it's a strength or even something they're strong in and they have a weakness in it, it's better not to just make it a glaring pointing figure at the weakness, but rather to more gently and tactfully point out and lead them to their own conclusion or teamwork it, rather than just saying that they're wrong, point blank.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
For
Because
sure.
that's kind of like pointing a firework at them and then being like, yeah, you light it and then it just goes off in their face rather than it, being a firework you hold together and it goes off over the lake. It tends to be very destructive, or it can
Mhm.
be. Which I'm sure is why you're asking about this because you want this to be something that isn't destructive,
Mhm.
which I think is awesome. I'm really glad that that's where your heart's at. Is that it isn't you want to be right in that prideful way of you know better, so obviously you want to point it out. That's again something my dad has been actually very good at. Instead of it being a point of pride, though occasionally he can have that, it's a point of love
Mm.
that he has, that he wants the best and that he wants me to learn. And some of that is giving me the space to learn and to try. And some of that is giving me different ideas to understand how to get better. So that's my 2 cents on that. Princess is not good at construction is the end end result you could take out of that, I suppose.
Hey, you did pretty good on those dressers.
Thanks, Joe.
Nice.
Mhm. I'm not good at construction either. I have Ryan's brother Kyle teaching me stuff.
Yeah, same.
Mhm.
Same.
That was fun. That was fun. It was a cool day yesterday when Ryan, Kyle, and I were working on concrete together, and it was a really cool experience because, I talked about, Ryan talked about how Kyle is like that, right? Like when he was a kid, he was like that, right? He was like had the way he wanted it done, the way it was supposed to be done, the way it was right and correct and everything like that, right? And I grew up with a dad like that. And then to experience as we were doing this work, right? And I'm pretty detailed and meticulous, in my work as well. And I want to make sure everything's good and right and straight and flat and pristine and perfect, kind of a perfectionist.
Mm.
And to hear, I was like, I got done, filling this one little area and flattening it all out and smoothing it all out and making it nice. And I was like, what do you think, Kyle? He didn't even look at it. And he said, it's good.
That's right.
I know if you did it, it's good. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Because I gotten so used to, growing up the whole time. And then as an instrument repair technician, had bosses and managers always like coming and being like, oh yeah, look, man, you did that wrong. And one of the most frustrating things was always like, oh yeah, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You move on to something else. I will fix your mistakes.
Oh, I hate that. Hate that.
It's like,
You've tried that jump 5 times. Hand me the controller. We're getting past this. We're moving on.
mhm. Yep, exactly. It's like, let me learn. I want to learn how to do this, right? I want to learn how to do it on my own. But it was so refreshing, when Kyle, and especially knowing the history of, like Ryan's experience with him, and then seeing how he's grown to that point where he's just like, he trusts that we can do a good job. It's really
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I got. I don't know. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Not too much, but yeah, I got to hang out with my brother a lot this past week, and it's awesome. And he really has grown tremendously. So
He's taller even than he was
Wait.
when you were kids.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Like by a lot. I mean, ever since I was a kid, jeez. I mean, at one point I was like 0 feet tall. And by
hmm
that point, I mean he was already like a foot or two tall. But
Right. I know.
yeah.
Man, oh man. Now look at
Anyways,
him. He's super tall.
I know, right?
But
Okay.
all right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably gonna be about it's probably gonna about do it then. So thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. Fred Neck, thank you so much for the topic. We love you. Feel free to DM us. If you have a topic, go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Click the submit a topic button and fill out the form, and we'd be happy to talk about whatever it is you want us to talk about on the show. And feel free to direct message us on Discord if you want, and we'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else. Um, hmm. Can you think of anything, Ryan?
I'm just gonna read what Fred and I said real quick. Actually, on a real note, I'm probably more like younger Kyle. I know the better way to do things, but I should get better at letting my siblings and parents fix it by themselves. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's important. It's important to be able to let go and understand that it doesn't always have to be perfect. Doesn't always have to be exactly right. It's nice when it's perfect. It's nice when it's exactly right. It's nice when it's done the way you want it done. All those things are great. But you know what? It's also really great to watch somebody grow,
Yeah.
to watch someone struggle and grow.
It's so nice because I mean, then you get to experience that person over and over as that new through that growth, right? And them being a better, easier, more approachable person, where you guys teamwork is even better than it used to be. All of these kinds of and the respect there and all of that. So a lot of times it's way better to just let that person grow rather than doing something for them. Or yeah.
Absolutely. So
And encourage
anyway.
them too to grow, to let them try.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means a lot, difference between the attitude of, "Hey, keep trying, you can get it. I believe in you," versus, You again? Come on.
Right.
Ain't got that hard."
Right.
Yeah, I one thing you can do in that field is really just be like honest with them with his sincerity. That's not just like, you can do it, go on, yeah, you got this, but actually just be like, look, you're real smart. I know you are. Like, don't mess with me. I know that you're really smart. Or hey, like, I've seen you do really talented things before. Give it a couple more shots. If you can say things with that kind of sincerity and you compliment them while you're saying it by pointing out good things about them, edifying things that are real soul touching, like not just, hey, you can do it, but really drive it home. The encouragement is so much better. The encouragement feels like, oh my gosh, like I remember so much of my life, I was just like, it wasn't like a daddy problem. It was like my brother problem. It was like, he like, I just want him to see me. I want him to think that I'm smart too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have that as a daddy issue, but I didn't have that because I didn't have much of a daddy growing up. I had my brother, and I wanted his approval. I wanted him to think that I was smart, but he would never say it, But then, when he finally got to that point where he started saying those things, it's like, man, that's deep. That feels so good. To know that
He's not a words of
smart.
affirmation person.
No.
So
well,
that's okay.
Yeah, it's like he thinks I'm smart because he's so smart. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I know that I'm smart now. Type
like
of thing.
This brilliant person respects my opinion. What? That's craziness. But
I had
thank
the
you.
same with my sister, where it was like, for the longest time, I was like, I was so bad at video games and I was so bad at other board games other than my luck. My luck was the only thing that, made me good at games. And my sister was like, no, you were always very smart. I no, you're a great, opponent, despite the fact that she won a lot. But she
Mm,
was also 2 years older, so I mean, it's fair. But, she was like, "No, you gave me a run for my money." And I was like, I never saw that being in that other position where she
mm,
saw the strengths that I had.
mhm,
And so hearing that for the very first time, when I was much older, it was like, wow, my sister actually thought that I was good. you know, she
mhm.
wasn't just pitying me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so take time to do that, all of you, to your siblings and to your family members and to your friends, because you don't recognize how much they trust you for certain attributes. Um, or sorry, yeah, you don't realize how much they respect you for certain attributes, and then are if you let them know that you really think highly of them, it can do a lot. Not just for you, like as a selfish thing, but like for them, it will do so much, and that's important. So yeah. Anyhow, yeah. Sorry,
Awesome.
just wanted to go back to that topic because Redneck was
Yeah.
putting a
There
little
was
bit, and I
more to
thought that
say.
was that's important stuff. Anyhow,
Hmm. Yeah.
great.
So thank you, Fredneck. Thank you guys so much for being here on this week's Don't Worry Wednesday. Come back next week when we will be here again
Oh my
for
gosh.
another
Whoa.
Don't Worry Wednesday
That's
on
right.
Wednesday. It'll be great. We would love to have you come back. Good luck to everyone who's starting classes this week. I know there's a bunch of people. Hey, seasons, man. We get a new season. Fall is about my favorite season. We're getting into it. We're kind of starting into it. It's the end of summer. Ryan, I know you're upset. I'm sorry.
No, I just don't fathom it because it only lasts a week. So anyhow,
Fall?
yeah.
That's true. Kind of does.
In Michigan where
It
we live, it
lasts
only
it
lasts.
lasts that's why I start it early.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you could do
That's
that.
why
I get it.
I start it when, the shadow gets a little bit like longer
Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
during the day. Like it's like, "Oh, it's fall," even though it's still summer.
Okay.
It's like the end of July and I'm saying it's fall just because I love fall so much.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It wasn't me questioning that you liked fall. I was just like, how can that be? It's only a week long here. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
now I get it. It's fine.
Cool. So, all right. So come back. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting us in our show. Thank you for all your awesome comments in the chat and for your topics. Again, if you want to leave us a topic, don'tworrywednesday.com is our website. Click the submit a topic button and fill out the form. And we will see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, have a wonderful life and we'll see you next time. Take care, you guys.
Bye, guys. Peace.